I get all my hoop nets in the water around the area I like to fish. Now, what I like to do is I like to have a couple of spots in a close proximity. And I'll put 5 over on one spot, I'll put 5 over on the other spot, because you just don't know which one they're going to crawl on. Sometimes if I'm in a good area at Catalina where I have 3 spots that I can fish in the same time zone, I'll spread out 3 different areas of hoop nets. But I like to get them in the water an hour before it gets dark to get that scent going in the water. Then when I start pulling my hoops, about a half an hour after the sun goes under the water, as soon as the sun goes underwater, it's dark on the bottom. It's still gray light out, but a half an hour after it goes under the water, then it starts to get dark on the bottom of the ocean. They're going to crawl, and they're going to start crawling right away because they're hungry and they smelled your bait in the water. So what I do is I start pulling, and if I get lobsters in my first couple of nets, those nets are going right back in the water, right on the spot where I caught those, because I guarantee if there's one, there's way more there. So I'll get those hoop nets emptied out and back in the water as quickly as I can, right on the same spot that I was fishing on. Then what I do is I'll pull the other hoop nets. If they all have lobsters in them, they all stay right where they were. But if I pull 5 in one spot and they all have lobsters, I go to the next spot and they don't have any. I'm going to pull those 5 and drag them over to where the other ones are crawling at and throw all my nets there. But I like to spread them out a little bit when I first get in the area to figure out where they're at, because they're always crawling. But once they're crawling, I don't ever stop pulling. Oh, another thing, super important, gang. You do not want to go hoop netting if you have a friend with you with less than 10 hoops. You're allowed to have 10 by law, so don't go out there with 5 hoops with 2 guys. Make sure, beg, borrow, do whatever you can to get your 10 hoop nets. If you can't get the Promar ambush, if you can only afford the flats, get the flats, but make sure you're fishing 10 all the time until you can afford 10 ambushes. You want to make sure that you have 10 all the time, though, because when they're crawling, they crawl for a certain amount of time and then they stop. All of you that have hoop netted, you know what I'm talking about. As soon as they stop crawling, you're going to have whatever you had. And if you only have 5 nets in the water and they're crawling, you could very easily catch your limit real quick with 10 hoops. But if you only have 5, you might only get a half a limit or something by the time they stop crawling. So make sure you have 10. And then back to how often do I pull. If they're crawling, if I have lobsters in every net that I pull and all the nets go back in the water, by the time I get to my 10th one, it's time to pull that first one again. Yeah, they've been in the water for a good half an hour anyway, unless you're super Speedy Gonzalez and you can pull them in 15 minutes. But I doubt it. You can go through 10 of them that quick and measure the lobsters that you catch and do all the things that you need to do to be ready to go. So it's going to be at least a half an hour since you dropped that first one. Get back over there and start pulling again. When they're crawling, they are crawling. I don't let them set for an hour like a lot of people I read on the internet say, oh, I let them set for an hour. Nope, not if they're crawling, gang. I'm burning through my gear as fast as I can. I go through all 10, I turn around, I go right back over. Now I'm doing it on a 65-foot Viking or a big Hatteras or a 44 Pacifica. I'm always pulling on a big boat 90% of the time, gang, so it takes a few minutes to get from one end to the other. But if you're on your small boat, I guarantee it takes you a half an hour to get from 1 to 10. That being said, when they're crawling, gang, you want to burn through your gear as quick as you can. And then keep throwing them back in the water right where you got your lobsters at. Make sure you're putting them right back down where they are, because they're crawling around looking for that bait. If you move them around too far from where you caught them the last time, you probably won't catch them again, because they're all onto that scent where you dropped your hoop nets an hour before sunset. So that being said, all I can tell you guys is you got to keep pulling your gear when they're crawling. Don't let them soak for an hour, because if you're doing it right, they can't get anything to eat. If you got tubes, they should be able to come in there, smell, look around, see their friends. If there's nothing in there, they'll move to the next hoop net. If I have a bunch of shorts in my net, I don't throw them over the side. I throw them right back down there in the net, because always Nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd. People go, oh, you can't do that by law. Yeah, you can, because you're not possessing them. They're in the hoop net. They can crawl out anytime you want. That's just a technicality of the law. But man, if you're pulling shorts in your nets and you're just heaving them over the side, leave them in the net. Throw them back down there. Some of them might be girls, and some of the ones you're trying to crawl in there might be boys, or vice versa, gang. Remember, everything matters. I don't throw the shorts over. I throw them back in the hoop net, throw them back down on the bottom, so they can call their buddies and say, hey, there's some food over here. Or it might be a little girl lobster that wants to meet a little boy lobster. Gang, that's just one of the many secrets that you get when you go to yoursaltwaterguide.com. Check out my website. It's a great place to get a gift certificate for a loved one for Christmas. You only got 2 days left. If you're looking for a present for somebody, we're selling that year membership for $55 to yoursaltwaterguide.com. You can simply email me at yoursaltwaterguide@yahoo.com. I'll get a gift certificate out to you today. You'll have it for Christmas. It's the Christmas gift to give somebody who fishes. We cover every single thing there is to do with fishing in Southern California, from flying the kite, rigging your dead flyer, rigging your rubber flyer, to skipping the flyer, to catching halibut, sculpin, rockfish, whatever you want to do in Southern California, we covered at yoursaltwaterguide.com. Check out my website, gang, till the end of the year, and then the prices are going to go up on the spots videos and the personal forums videos, and the game plans are all going up on January 1st, unless you're already a member, and you can do that in the next 6 or 7 days and get on there and buy all that stuff that I have available on the website. Your price won't go up. If you wait, sitting on the fence going, I don't know if I can spend $4.99, my wife's kind of against me spending $4.99. Well, I'm not talking $499 either. I'm talking $4.99, gang. Then you might not have a fishing problem. Yep, I said it. Gang, check out my website, yoursaltwaterguide.com. Thanks for joining us today. It's an absolute gorgeous day down here in